When you're working in ACL rehabilitation, then your job revolves around selling time for money. And the more time you can sell, the more money you can make. So anything that saves you time is actually directly making you more money. So the next few minutes, you're going to learn how to power up your ACL prescriptions with rapid efficiency while saving yourself an hour a day in admin. I mean, you can use that extra time to see patients or spend the time with loved ones because, when you go home, you should go home to family, not to a pile of documentation, right? So before we jump into powering up our ACL prescriptions, I want to introduce the men who make all of this possible. Jed, Ian, and Peter. Welcome, guys. It's good to see you.
Thanks, Mr. Carl.
Hi, Carl.
How's it? Okay, so you and you guys, we started talking about Rehabit a few years ago when I was still working as a clinician in orthopedic rehabilitation. And the reason was because the practice I was working in had just been told that we're about to be audited by a health insurance company called Discovery. And our entire practice was in a flat out panic. I'm sure you guys remember this. So being audited was an absolute nightmare because our practice was still running on like a paper-based system. And there was so much on the line. I mean, if we didn't get this right, it was going to cost us thousands and thousands of rands. So for all those watching and listening, I'm going to tell you how that audit turned out at the end of this discussion. So stick around to hear how that story ends. But Ian, Pitts, and Jed, let me just say, I absolutely loved your keynote presentation at the 2022 Evidence-Based Summit. I mean, you guys went through, it was so interesting. You guys went through this patella tendinopathy program, and then how you found a way to take everything from the evaluation to the prescriptions and the reporting and the feedback, put it online, and then just automate a bunch of those steps and processes so that, you were cutting out all these repetitive elements that I think a lot of clinicians it's annoying them, right? They want to focus on rehab, not on the admin. So let's now apply this to an ACL patient. Let's say my ACL patient is 16 weeks in and we're in the strength training phase. How can this automation improve my ACL prescriptions?
Well, Carl, I'm not sure how you did it when you had your practice, but when we started out 5 years ago in our practice, we did everything on a paper-based system, either through Excel or Word. And and we also had to create this exercise prescription templates ourselves, and it just never worked well. We always felt limited in what we wanted to see and be able to do on the paper. And it took us forever to write these prescriptions because you had to type out everything manually. And as a practice owner, this means that most of my time is spent helping my patients or running my business. And the little time that I did have off, I had to share with this tedious process of creating programs. Now, these days, we've got this amazing exercise prescription library that we've saved up on our system. And it's so easy. Every time I get a new patient with a condition, I've already got a major template library that I have saved up for the people. I click it, I add it to that patient. It takes me like a second or two. And all I do is I go and adjust that program to make it more personalized for the patient. It's amazing. It saves up a lot of time. It's professional. I get a lot of feedback from it. I just love it.
Awesome. Wow, that sounds so cool. Yeah, I've seen the software myself. I've used it myself. It is like, it's just a few clicks and boom, it's done, right? It's so cool. I love it. Okay, here's something interesting. Now, all three of you guys are from Bloemfontein, which leads me to a question you guys probably get all the time, right? How did such, in my opinion, incredible technology come from a tiny little town in the middle of South Africa? All right, give us some context. Like, what's the origin story behind Rehabit?
Yeah, cool. So it's funny to think that there are programmers in Bloemfontein. There's not a lot of us though. But so I know Ian, he's my brother-in-law. And when lockdown happened, that was almost 3 years ago. I can't believe time flies like that. But when lockdown happened, I was already working fully remote as a software developer. Unfortunately for Ian and Pete, all their patients canceled. I remember Ian and I were chatting about this that first week. He was just like, dude, all my patients they've just canceled. And so they were sitting at home for close to 3 weeks during that 21-day lockdown. And it was during that the idea for Rehabit was sparked. Everyone was sitting at home for 3 weeks. Our friends group decided to do a 21-day workout challenge. My wife actually compiled it in like a Word document. And Ian and Pete decided to do like a competition, make like a competition out of this. So we had a WhatsApp group, and they did an evaluation of everyone on the WhatsApp group before and after the challenge, and kind of said, we'll do a prize for this. So anyone, the person that's got the biggest improvement will get a prize. So we thought this was pretty cool, but I think they did the reporting and stuff in Excel. So this kind of got the gears spinning. And as a software developer, I'm always looking for ideas for, new projects, for a new side hustle. And I kind of thought to myself, could we build a software product that makes this easier, that they can use to build programs? And I mean, the things you can do with software are really cool. You can check, when programs are viewed, you can collect feedback, you can automate a whole lot of things. So I thought, well, we could probably do this. Is there something here? So we sat down and had a meeting, or a virtual meeting. We were all in our own homes during lockdown. And we just did some brainstorming. And I remember we had like a virtual whiteboard thing that we were just throwing ideas, lots and lots of ideas. Many didn't make it into the existing product today. But yeah, our initial idea was just to build like a simple program builder with the idea of like building an exercise library, because I saw them, I've seen Ian sitting down, Googling exercises, dragging it into Excel. And I was like, man, you can do this better. Like every time I see an Excel software, someone like running a core business function on Excel, a part of me as a software developer just dies a little bit, because I'm like, man, you're running your whole business on Excel. Very cool. So yeah,
he always teases me about this.
Yeah. Yep.
On the way I created my programs.
Man, there's some big companies out there running their entire like everything on Excel. It's pretty scary. But anyways, Excel makes the financial world go round. So yeah, so we came up with a business model. We came up with a roadmap, lots of ideas, but we decided let's get a simple version out the door. We wanted to move fast, just get a first version 1 out. And so it took us about a month to get a really, really scrappy version just online. No one else was using it. We didn't tell anyone about it, just us. We were testing it. We wanted something that they would use every day in their practice. So they kind of dog fooded the whole system. Yeah, and it took another 4 months of hard work. I'm talking programming in evenings, weekends, spending all our free time on this. It consumed us for a little while, but it was really fun. So it took us another 4 months or so about 5 months after our original idea, to get it out there and to get a few of our first users on. And some of those users are still using it today, which is awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much how Rehabit started. It's evolved over time. It went from a scrappy, building programs with an exercise library. It's still got that, but it's so much better now. And yeah, we just piled on, and they'll tell you some more about what it does now. But yeah, so Rehabit came from Bloemfontein.
Awesome. Oh man, I absolutely love it. It's the first time I actually hear that story. So I had no idea it started off like a competition and just a bunch of guys over WhatsApp. It's brilliant, brilliant. So here's a situation I was in, and a lot of practitioners listening probably find themselves in a similar one as well. I remember when I was working in rehab, there was this really prominent doctor in our area who I was trying to work with and trying to get her to trust me. And after months and months of working together, she eventually sent me her first referral. But it wasn't just any referral, guys. She sent her husband to me. Okay, so now not only one, do I have to prove to her I can help her patients, but two, I have to do it with a case that she's like emotionally invested in. And I remember it so clearly. So I was sitting there that next Saturday morning, and I'd worked on his evaluation report and his program prescription for 5 hours. That was my Saturday morning, just spent all 5 hours on that. I mean, I spent ages on the paperwork because I was thinking to myself, I'm going to prove to her I'm the best person for the job. I had graphs, I had charts, I had calculations. And it was this huge project just to convince her we should work together. And then when I found Rehabit, when I found your software, I was so annoyed. I was so annoyed because I saw how clean, how smooth, and how professional your reports are. And I was like, oh, this is better than anything I can do, even if I spend 5 hours working on it. And the worst thing was that it just takes a few minutes to put your report together. And it's so good. The clicks of a few buttons. If I knew that, guys, I would have saved countless Saturday mornings of doing admin. So this moves me on to my next question for you guys. So writing patient reports to doctors and physios, as we said, on Word or Excel, right? It's tedious. It's a waste of time. I mean, you could easily save at least an hour a day, which is 5 hours a week with just really affordable specialized software and tools. like Rehabit. So Pete, I want to ask you, what is the biggest mistakes that you've seen clinicians make when writing, especially ACL reports to doctors and referring practitioners?
So personally, in my opinion, I've not seen a lot of other practitioners reporting, but between me and Ian, I have noticed that we're putting way too much information into reporting. So while we were busy developing Rehabit, we just decided we're going to go to some doctors, go to some specialists, go see a physiotherapist or two, and we're going to get their side of the story, just to tell us what would they like to see in the reporting. And the main thing that we got from all of them, they don't want 10,000 graphs, 10 pages of information. And that's what we're telling ourselves. Let's keep the main thing the main thing. So the thing is, too much information in a report to doctors, and we're not going to read that. They told us they want at most a 1-2 page document, and they're not even going to read through the whole thing. They actually want a 1 or 2 liner telling them this patient is okay, this patient has to come back for an operation, or the rehabilitation is going very well. And that's the point. That's only the only thing they actually want to see. So for us, the main thing about the reporting is actually to show your patient how they are improving, and so that you as practitioner can see where the rehabilitation process is lacking a little bit and on what areas you should focus a little bit more. Another problem I saw with reporting is too much information. And then the big thing we saw is comparing. In the past, when I was comparing, I would write one report and then I would write another one. Then I have to physically sit and compare the two of them together and so show the patient from this one to this one. This is how you've improved. And it's visually not very, very demonstrative. It's hard to follow the rehabilitation progress. Whereas now with Rehabit, it makes the workload so much lighter. Because it, like you guys said, it automates your repetitive tasks by giving you a program builder. You don't have to go to Google and find the little pictures and drag and drop them into a specific little block. That takes you almost the whole day. And when you want to print it in a PDF, it doesn't fit. So you have to do everything from the start again. So the software helps. It gives you a exercise library. You get a program builder in the same software. With it, when you're done building your programs, you can set up templates. It also allows you to send these programs via WhatsApp or email. So it just makes it a lot easier to distribute your programs to your patients. And the fun thing about it is actually you can now get direct feedback from your patient. You don't have to wait a week, 2 weeks, or a month for them to come back to your practice so you can update their program. You can, every single day when you get your notifications, you can see this person is struggling with this and this exercise, or they have pain with a couple of exercises. And all you can do is you can go and sub the exercises, and the next time the person goes onto their program, they have a whole new brand list of exercises that they can try for the day. And you can also send them questionnaires to get their subjective feedback daily, monthly, as you like, just to see how they're progressing. Last but not least, it's our brand new feature on Rehabit, is the reporting side of it, which makes it so much easier. You can go and obviously it also takes up a bit of time. It's not timeless, but when you've set up your first evaluation and then you re-evaluate your patient, the template is already set up. You only add some new values, and with the click of a button, it automatically compares the first, the second, and the third evaluation. Your patient can see how they're improving. And that just motivates them, and it motivates the practitioner to see we're actually doing a good job, and this patient can go back to his sport.
Yeah, and I also think like the one thing the reporting does very clearly is it puts in graphs for you. So a lot of our like Pete said, it's difficult to read sometimes. The doctors don't necessarily always understand or have time to go through everything. So if they can have a graph to see the patient is improving or regression is happening, it quickly gives the doctor an idea of to say, what is the next step with the patient? Can we carry on with rehabilitation, or should we maybe take a operative procedure or that route?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things to unpack there that I loved, right? Like, I think most people don't realize how big the reporting is. Like, essentially, as a practitioner, you have to spend also a lot of time selling yourself, whether you like it or not, right? To referring practitioners. So if the doctor sees that you've got an efficient way of reporting and they can understand it easier, I mean, I think that's just so powerful for them to be like, it's easy to refer to you because I know how to work with you. You know how to show it to me visually. And you're saving not only yourself time, the patient time, but something I've never thought of is you guys have found a way to save a doctor time, like the referring practitioner's time as well, instead of giving, like I was doing, way too much information that no one's probably going to read. Just like you figured out and narrowed it down to the main things. I love that. That's so important. And also, I think you guys touched on like compliance, right? Patient compliance. It's actually so much to unpack there. And I definitely would love at some other point for us to chat more about that.
I just also, sorry, Carl, I just also want to add, like with the reporting side of it, for us as practitioners, I mean, like Pete said, you do get practices out there that don't do as much reporting as they actually should. And the problem with that is you don't really know where you are going with your patient. You are like thumb sucking the whole way, looking at these symptoms and sort of, you know, blindly going the rehabilitation route. With reporting, clear, visual, understandable reporting, it also helps you to make clear decisions and help your patient more optimally in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially when it comes to like these long programs, right? Like we're busy with this ACL series. So like ACL programs at 9 months to 2 years, like, you know, 9 months down the line, can you remember what you did 9 months ago? Like how many papers do you have to go through? Probably not, right? Like to have it on one system. It's so good. I really love that. Okay, so I just kind of slightly branching off of that topic. I just want to bring up this idea of what another thing that we haven't spoke about yet was how you can use Rehabit for multiple patients at once, or even remote patients. So why I love this so much? Okay, let me tell you a story. So I did my internship under the guidance of a clinician named Christine Wall, and it was in a practice called Marina Vessels Physiotherapy. But Christine had this superpower, right? And I think this superpower makes her one of the best practitioners ever. She had this incredible ability to be able to see multiple patients at once, but without ever losing track of where any of them were. And she could pay perfect attention to all of them, which I was blown away with it, right? Because that is impossible for me. And I think a lot of people listening and watching as well also be like, no, they prefer the one-on-one thing. It's very much like me. We're the same. So I can't focus on more than one patient at a time. And I think that was also a big way that I potentially lost out on money as a practitioner, was I could never have an overlap, not even for a few minutes. I couldn't do it. But you guys have come up with a solution for people like me who just can't keep track of more than one patient, whether they're in the practice or whether they're receiving them remotely. So chat about like, how does Rehabit make this possible?
Yeah, well, I mean, I understand why you struggle with that. I struggle with that. It is a hassle. There's too much to take an account. You're not only just helping a patient and making sure he does the exercise you told him, but you have to think about the next exercise he has to do. Is he doing it correctly? In between that, you have to try and make notes of the pain he's experiencing and where that pain is and all that information. Now, just that alone takes up almost all your focus. Now, say times 4. For patients, or even more if you're working in big sports teams, then it's almost impractical. You run around like a headless chicken trying to sort out everything out and make sure everyone gets the attention they're supposed to get. And the fact of the matter is they aren't, and unfortunately the patient isn't then getting the best value and treatment for his condition. So what Rehabit does is you send the program to the patient. It's an interactive program, so the patient has visual feedback from pictures and videos, also descriptions, so the margin for error or mistakes made in the program is a lot smaller because he's got all this input helping him to do it correctly. And then he can, on his own, on his program that he walks around with in your practice with, or that's on his phone, he can then fill in his own pain scales. He can leave you comments saying what pain he has, where the pain is experienced. So all that admin that you have to do in between helping patients, they now handle for you. They are helping you, aiding you in this process. And that frees up the clinician to be able to walk around in his practice and being able to give his full attention to all his patients and just help with the small things where he sees maybe the knee is falling in or the hip isn't lifting high enough or the wrong muscle is activating. So that just frees up your space to help your patients even better. So that's the one thing. And then you just take that little bit of time after the session or at the end of the day or wherever you have a gap and look at the feedback your patients gave you, and you can then go and adjust the programs accordingly, progress, regress it depending on what you found there. And you don't even have to send it to them again. The moment you adjusted it, it's automatically adjusted on their side. So yeah, it just speeds up the whole process.
Brilliant. It sounds to me something like the future of what I'm like imagining is going to happen in like 10 years of how rehab's going to look, like the automation, the IT software. Jeds probably knows way more about this than we do, about just the future of like, you know, where software is going to go and like how is AI technology going to come into our rehab. Like, I don't think it's ever going to replace clinicians. My idea is it's going to assist us to be better clinicians, exactly like what you're saying now.
Yeah, the future is here. It's just not evenly distributed.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay, so I mean, just speaking off on like when you're saying about walking around and seeing different patients, now that's obviously a lot more, it's a lot easier, especially with patients who are later on in their rehab, right? But if you look at patients who are earlier on and need more focused attention, I always notice that when patients first come in, those first 2 months, especially if it's something like an ACL injury, those first 2 months I always found was the easiest. I don't know how you guys feel, but I found the first 2 months were the easiest because I felt the compliance was there. Like patients were 100% committed to getting better. And then I kind of noticed that like I found a trend over the years that, especially ACL patients, those so similar types, once they're out the boot or out the brace, there's about a small percentage of them, let's say about 10%, that are like, I'm better, I'm fixed. And no matter what they say to them, you can't convince them otherwise, and they're gone, right? And then you're kind of working a little bit more with the rest of the patients that are left. And then at the 12-week mark, I kind of started noticing again, another 10% are like, oh, I can cycle, I can walk, I can start to jog a little bit, I'm fixed. And they're also gone. Right. And then the next point I saw this was at the 6-month mark, because like at the 6-month mark, there's a lot of patients who are like, I can run again. I'm strong. I'm gymming. And no matter what you say to them, no matter how much you explain that it's supposed to be 9 months to a 2-year process, they, in their mind, they're done. So what this happens to the practitioners, I don't know if you guys have seen this, is that by the 6-month mark, a patient that should have been there for 9 months to 2 years, 30% of them are gone. So 30% we've left out. Now, that doesn't just mean that 30% of patients aren't being helped and 30% of patients aren't getting better. But just think of it from a business side. You're losing 30% of the revenue that should have been yours, right? So this is kind of where I started to see Rehabit not just as a tool, but as an investment into the practice as well, which especially started to change my mindset around this stuff. Because I think a lot of other softwares are just like extra tools and they're nice to haves. But when it comes to what you guys have done is you've actually found a way to increase the compliance, the patient retention, and the program adherence. So I just want to know, Pitts, maybe you can answer this for us. Like, how does Rehabit do this, right? What's the science behind? Why does it work so well that you guys are seeing this massive boost in increased compliance, retention, and adherence?
Big thing for me is, like you said, I think it's goal setting. You can have an older patient, maybe having an ACL rehabilitation or surgery done on her, and she doesn't need to run or go back to the rugby field or go play netball again. So, of course, when she can walk normally, she's going to go out of the rehabilitation process. When it comes to people wanting to return back to the sport, goal setting for us is very important. And what Rehabit does, it shows you a clear view of where you are and where you have to be. So the clinicians can, every month when they do a reevaluation, they can show you, this is the LSR, the limb symmetry index between how strong your injured side is, and this is how strong your uninjured side is. So if you're going to go play sports again, the chances of you being re-injured are extremely high. So that just helps you to boost their compliance, because every time Rehabit also allows you to send them like a program at home, and every time they open the program, you get a notification stating that the patient has done their exercises on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So at the end of the month, when you reevaluate them, and they're not getting better, you can go then back to the compliance and you can tell them, yeah, you're not getting better, but you've only done, in the first week, you only done 1 session. In the second week, you've done 2 sessions. And in the third week, you didn't do any sessions. So that actually, as clinician, also clears your hands a little bit, because it's not on your side that the rehab is not working. You can tell the patient your compliance is not up to date. So that's why you're not getting better. So in 2016, there was actually a little bit of a study done that showed that we as practitioners can lose patients if they have pain during the exercises. I mean, if you have pain and you're going to a practitioner and he's giving you exercises that causes pain, you're not going to go back to the same guy. So you have to be very careful with that. You also lose patients because of low support. So they're doing exercises that they're not ready for, and you're not supporting them in the right way, either in practice or at home, and that patient's also just not going to return to you. So with the software, it just helps you to realize if this patient is actually experiencing any pain, or if they are struggling with the exercises. And then you can just on your own time go and adjust these exercises. And the next time your patient or the patients do the exercises, it's already going to be progress or regress to a level that they're comfortable with. Another study in 2015 actually showed where if you have practitioner have very good goal setting and good progressions for your patients, that's actually going to help you retain your patients a lot longer. Like I previously mentioned, if I'm making progress, but I'm still not where I want to be, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to keep on exercising because I want to reach my goals. It's not the goals that you have set out for me. It's the goals that I've set out for myself, actually, as a patient, by doing a good evaluation at the start of my rehabilitation. So I'm working against myself and against time to get better. And if I'm going to stop at any point in time, me as the patient, I'm going to know I have not done everything in my ability to get better and to be 100%. So the clinician can also tell the patient the chances of you getting re-injured are very good, because on this little piece of report, you can see you're not where you're supposed to be. So that's actually going to help boost compliance, and that patient's going to stay with you for longer because they want to see themselves get better and they want to actually return back to their sports.
Awesome. I love that idea of accountability, but it's accountability in a way that you've personalized it, but without taking as much time. It's not me emailing every single patient every week. Are you doing exercises? Are you doing exercises? Just taking time from my day. Like I can't do that. Like realistically, no practitioner can do that. Whereas this is like, it's getting done for you, right? The app is handling that. The software and the technology is already there doing it for you, but it still feels so personalized because they're giving direct feedback to you, and you can directly communicate with them, be like, hey, like, is everything okay this week? Like, I see you've only logged in once or twice. Like, what's going on? Allows you to also prioritize when are you checking in and when you're not checking in. It's so cool. I love this. I really love you guys' software.
And something, Kyle, that I saw that I didn't expect would be a thing on this software, but I found that it is a bit of a motivation for the patients of a clinician. They love to see their pain go down. So when they give you pain feedback, when they start out and they say, I've got an 8 out of 10 pain, you don't always practically go and sit and think, what is my pain today? What is my pain today? But when you do that, it becomes a motivation for you to see, wow, man, I can actually honestly say I can see my pain is getting less, and this motivates me to keep on doing it because I've got that input coming back to me saying that my pain is decreasing, the graph showing that my pain is improving. So yeah, that was something unexpected that I found in the practice.
I love that because that's automating something that I used to do. And probably a few other practitioners have done this. Is I used to have like a little visual table up on the wall and then like just the visual analog scale and write people's names next to it. Name and date of where's your pain out of 10. And like you've taken that hassle of having like a scrappy piece of paper up in your practice and just made it into like a smooth online thing. It's just better. It's brilliant. Okay, so we're coming to the end of our discussion. Like I've really enjoyed this so much. I think a lot of people have learned how they can really improve their ACL rehab, but I quickly need to keep my promise. And I need to tell you guys how that nightmare of an audit that I spoke about in the beginning actually went. Okay, so because we were being cavemen, right? We refused to evolve with the times. We were still stuck using a paper-based system, like even in this modern era. And we had these thick files, right? And I think a lot of people have this, you know what I'm talking about, these thick files packed with the loose pages, everything's in the wrong order. And I remember trying to decipher my own handwriting. I have terrible handwriting. So I'm trying to decipher my notes, my reports. Half of the stuff is on the computer, the other half is on paper. Absolute nightmare. Anyway, so what we did was we booked hours and hours out of our diary and our schedules, and we were sifting through all these old patient files. And I mean, just imagine like old patient files, right? The ink is fading, things are smudged, things are torn. It's just normal human error. But eventually, right? Spoiler, eventually everything was fine. We passed the audit perfectly, didn't have to pay a cent back. They were very happy with all our stuff. However, here's the catch, right? Here's the catch. Even though we didn't pay a cent back for the auditing, because everything was above board, we still had to give up so much time that we could have spent helping patients and bringing revenue into the practice in order to get that admin ready for the audit. So at the end of the day, we still paid money, right? It still ended up costing us regardless. Now, if we just had Rehabit, that whole process, I think, would have been a breeze. And it wouldn't even have been a story worth bringing up right now because it would have been a non-event. So I'm happy to say, actually, that same practice I was working for, they're now under new management, and they luckily believe in keeping up with the times. They've moved every practitioner onto Rehabit. So I'm really, really grateful for that, and I'm proud of them. So we're going to end off with my favorite thing about Rehabit, right? It's the fact that I feel it takes away all your worries, your anxiety, and your stress about like an audit or any other admin thing. So maybe Ian, you can answer this for us. Chat us through, like, how do you find life is made, like, how's your life better, and how's Rehabit made life easier for you and maybe all the practitioners that you guys help?
That's very true that what you're saying, Carl. I think like I also didn't think this was going to be the major thing for me, because like Jed also said, it started out as a exercise prescription software, and then it added and added and added, and eventually we had patient profiles, and now we've got this system of where all our patients are stored up, and that's patient profile for every individual patient from now on when he started till forever. So that is always stored up there. No information can get lost. Every feedback he ever gave us on pain is stored up in a graph with not only the pain, but it's linked to the exercise, linked to the diagnosis. So, and you can fade out and fade in and any information that you want. So you can break it down to minimalistic information, very clear information, or you can have a big picture to see the overall picture of how this person improved or didn't improve. You've got all your questionnaires of that patient saved up there, and then also in graph formation to say, did it improve or didn't it improve? Yeah, and all the comments they ever gave, it's all there. Now, a person like me, I very quickly feel like if things aren't in order, I start stressing and I feel like it's cluttered. I don't know what's going on. And with the paper-based stuff, I didn't know what was going on. I mean, to compare or find any information took forever. And then it's stored up there in a rack, and to find that again and to get information about that is always, it makes me stress, because I think of that day that I get audited. I think of that day. But now with Rehabit, it's such an ease of mind to know that all my patients are stored up. Every patient has an individually personalized category that I created for that patient. I can say that patient is a back patient, or I can keep it at joint specific, or I can really go in the detail of what I found wrong with that patient. And that is category. So if I ever want to go find my ACL patients, I just search, and that ACL, all my ACL patients will pop up there. So yeah, stuff like that. And when I have that in place, then I feel like, okay, good, I'm covered. You know, everything I need is there. Nothing is lost, and nothing can get lost because it's safe on the internet. Well, I mean,
Yeah, safe. It's on the cloud, right? It's stored on cloud.
It's on the cloud. I don't know what that means. It says it's safe, so it's safe.
Very good.
Brilliant. Okay, yeah. So I mean, we've spoken so much about, with ACL patients, how you can invest in your patients, you can automate repetitive tasks, you can make the prescription and the reporting easier for your ACL patients. And here's the other thing that I'm so glad we actually brought up. Like, instead of just investing in your business, why don't you invest in your peace of mind, right? Like you just said, investing in your mental health and emotional health. Like, don't even make that a stress. Like, you're busy enough as it is, right? Don't make this an extra stress that you have to worry about. So all of this stuff, I mean, I'm so glad that you guys are part of this toolkit that we're putting together. You guys are contributing like a full month of Rehabit, so patients can kind of see, okay, well, practitioners can see how can their ACL patients' prescriptions be improved, reporting improve, and of course, it's not just limited to ACL, even though we're in the ACL series. This is all your patients, right? So with the toolkit, you guys are showing us for a month how we can make our lives easier. You're going to be part of our live course, our live workshops, where you're going to be showing us case studies, and we're going to really make this interactive and fun. So everyone who's already got in on the toolkit, I'm excited for you. Everyone who hasn't yet, I really encourage you to check out the toolkit, check out Rehabit and everything that these guys have put together for us. Just to end off, Jed, okay, if we want to get hold of you guys, we want to learn more about this. How can we get in touch for more information?
Yeah, so you're more than welcome to contact us. We really enjoy chatting to people. You can hit us up on Facebook or drop us an email, and we'll put all our details on the screen right now. Kyle's going to do that for us. What a G. Yeah, so we really like chatting to people about this stuff. We love discussing ideas, getting feedback, getting to know the community. A lot of feedback that we've gotten from our community have been implemented on Rehabit, which is awesome. I'm not going to make too many promises on this because I know everyone's busy, but we do occasionally do one-on-one demos with people. So if you're really interested in Rehabit, you want to know more, you're serious about this, like hit us up and we'll do a one-on-one demo with you guys free of charge. Usually takes about 30 minutes and we can just show you guys the whole system. But yeah, so we'll drop our Facebook link, our Facebook handle, and then a link that will go through Kyle's thing as a promo, like our affiliation with him. So you can get a free month off on Rehabit and try it out at your discretion. Yeah, so that's us.
Brilliant. So that will be in the, once you guys have the toolkit, that's going to be inside the toolkit. So you'll find it there once you open up on the Teachable platform. The link will be there for everyone to sign up. Thank you so much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your knowledge, your expertise, your time. Myself, as well as everyone, really, really appreciates you guys. And thank you for all you do to actually help us as clinicians. It's super appreciated.
Yeah, and thanks for believing in us, Kyle.
So welcome. You guys deserve it. All right,
Awesome.
guys. I hope you have a good evening. All right. Cheers.